in the United States. So the starting point is going to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics homepage. Just Google BLS, right? From this homepage, you already know Consumer Price Index, our last topic. And underneath CPI, we have unemployment rate 4.4% in March 2020, right? That is for the United States as a nation. The unemployment rate in March 2020, last month, is 4.4%. And by common sense, we would expect the unemployment rate to rise sharply in April 2020 due to the current coronavirus pandemic. Okay, so here you see this symbol, right? Let me open it. And we can see from a graph, unemployment rate is a time series data. So we have January 2010 all the way to January 2020. Remember, unemployment rate is calculated by the US federal government every month. So unemployment rate is a monthly data. And age, remember the starting point, you must be at least 16 years and older, right? So that's why you see there's an age group. So over the past 10 years in the United States, on average, the unemployment rate has been falling from roughly 10% back in January 2010 to now roughly 4%. And we should expect this number to rise sharply for April and May due to the current coronavirus pandemic. Okay, so that's for the United States as a nation. We can also find the state and the local data. Let me go back to its homepage, right? Subjects, click subjects. We have state and local unemployment rates. Let me click this one. And here on the set line, you can see, so for example, in February 2020, the unemployment rate for Alabama, the state Alabama, is 2.7%. P just means it's preliminary. So the government may revise its data later. And the unemployment rate, the latest information for Texas, here, is 3.5% in February 2020. So you can find out the state information. Let me open this part. And we can see the unemployment information for Texas over the past 10 years from 2010 to 2020. You can, of course, customize. So for example, you can go all the way back to the year 1976. And just like the US national data over the past 10 years, right? The unemployment rate has been falling for the state of Texas. If you want to have a overview of the entire nation across states, right? It's better to take a look at the map. So let me go to here. For monthly data, we have statewide data. I want to take a look at the map. Let me open this part. Here, that is February 2020, right? Unemployment rates by state. So some states, they are suffering from a higher unemployment rate. That means at least a 4.5%. Arizona, New Mexico, Louisiana. I think this is Mississippi, right? West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and Washington, D.C. Alaska, those states, they report higher than the U.S. average unemployment rate, 4.5% or higher. States with a lower unemployment rate are, so for example, Idaho. What's this? Utah, Colorado. What's this one? Nebraska, Iowa, North Dakota, Alabama, South Carolina, Virginia, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Vermont. Those states report a lower unemployment rate, 2.9% or lower. That's for February 2020. We should expect all states report higher unemployment rates for April and May 2020. Why? Because of the pandemic. Okay, just like GDP, unemployment rate is useful but not perfect measure for the true state of unemployment in the United States. Unemployment rate suffers from many problems. For example, it does not consider the so-called underemployment. What's underemployment? You could be a super smart student, right? After getting a college degree, you get in, so for example, Harvard Medical School, the most prestigious school, right, in the world. After working so hard getting a doctor degree, medical doctor degree from Harvard Medical School, what are you going to do with your Harvard degree? You can go to Kentucky Fried Chicken, right, to fried chicken with your Harvard medical doctor degree, making, for example, $8 per hour, right, frying chicken for this basket, right? This is a problem. Okay, let me say this. Do you need a Harvard medical doctor degree to work at KFC to fry chickens? By common sense, the answer is no, right? But technically you can, right? You can go to Harvard, get a Harvard medical doctor degree, right? Then you work for KFC frying chickens, making $8 per hour, right? In this case, you are employed. You do have a job, right? But what's the problem? Your educational background does not match the job you are having right now, right? KFC, Harvard Medical School, medical doctor degree, right? This problem is called underemployment. And the unemployment rate reported by the US federal government, 2.7%, 3.5%, right? They do not account for underemployment. That's one problem. Another problem is so-called discouraged workers. So some people, at the very beginning, they want a job, right? They were looking for jobs, but they may get frustrated. They just couldn't get the job, and eventually they quit the labor market, right? They stop looking for jobs. Instead, they apply for unemployment benefits. So they collect government welfare paychecks, staying at home watching football games, basketball games, right? So once those people in reality employed, they don't have a job, but since they had quit looking for jobs, in this case, they become so-called discouraged workers. If those people who don't have a job, but they quit the labor market, they will be put into which category? They will be put in the not in the labor force category. That means in reality, they are unemployed. But by the current US federal government standard, those people will be put in the not in the labor force category. That means they will not be considered as what? Unemployed. So that's another problem with the unemployment rate reported by the US federal government. These numbers. Why? Because the unemployment rate does not consider discouraged workers. That means those people at the very beginning, they want a job and they were looking for a job, but eventually they quit. They stay at home, right? By collecting government welfare paycheck. In this case, they have left the job market because they are not in the labor force.